Once upon a time, in a lovely and beautiful village full of laughter and sunshine, there lived a woman named Simbi. Simbi was not just any woman, she was the village hairdresser. Everyone in the village loved her because she could twist and turn hair into beautiful styles. She had a daughter named Shalewa, who was as bright as the morning sun. Shalewa, Simbi's daughter, was a young girl with a heart as pure as the clear village stream. Her smile could light up the darkest room, and her laughter was contagious. Shalewa loved to watch her mother work, and she learned how to braid hair by watching the swift movements of Simbi's fingers. Even though she was still little, Shalewa started helping her mom with simple hairstyles, and the people in the village adored her for her kindness and the small perfect braids she could do. Life wasn't always easy for Simbi and Shalewa. Simbi's husband and Shalewa's father had gone to the stars a few years back, leaving them to face the world on their own. But Simbi was strong, and she loved her daughter more than anything. She worked hard every day to make sure they had enough to eat and that Shalewa could have a happy life, full of laughter and love. The villagers respected Simbi, not just for her talent with hair, but also for the way she raised Shalewa. Everyone could see the love and respect between mother and daughter. They would often say, "Look at Simbi and Shalewa. What a beautiful bond they share. It's like the warmth of the sun on a cool morning." And so, amidst the mango trees and under the vast African sky, Simbi and Shalewa lived their lives, weaving not just hair but the stories of all who came to sit with them. The village was their home, and in it they found joy, friendship, and the strength to face each new day together. As time danced by, the little village under the big African sky saw many seasons change. Shalewa became a beautiful young woman, like a flower blooming brightly in the sun. But something else changed. Shalewa, who used to listen to her mother, started to march to her own beat. She stopped helping Simbi with the hair plaiting, and her once kind words turned sharp. She wanted her mother to do everything for her, forgetting the bond they shared. Simbi's heart felt heavy like a cloud ready to rain. She tried to speak to Shalewa, to remind her of the love, the respect, and the kindness they once shared. But Shalewa, like a river, flowed on her own path, away from her mother's words. The once close-knit tapestry of their lives started to unravel, setting the stage for a tale of growth, choices, and lessons to be learned. Simbi, the hair-making woman, worried a lot about Shalewa, her daughter. She saw Shalewa not listening and not being nice like before. Simbi tried talking to her. She said, "Shalewa, my child, remember to be kind, listen well, and help others. It's good for the heart." But Shalewa just wouldn't listen. She turned her back and sometimes even said unkind words to her mother, which made Simbi very sad. One sunny day, when the sky was as clear as the stream by the village, Ronke came to visit. Ronke was Simbi's sister, and she lived in another town. Not too far, but not close either. Ronke had heard stories about Shalewa, and she wanted to see for herself. When Ronke arrived, Shalewa didn't show respect. She didn't kneel to greet Ronke or even offer her water to drink. Ronke was surprised and not happy. She talked to Simbi about it. "Simbi, Shalewa has grown wings too big. She needs to learn respect and kindness again," Ronke said. After seeing how Shalewa acted, Ronke had an idea. "Let Shalewa come with me to the town. It might teach her some good manners," Ronke suggested. Simbi was scared at first because she knew Ronke was very strict, but thinking deep in her heart, Simbi hoped it might help Shalewa. So she said yes. Shalewa was happy to leave. She thought, "I'll see new places and have fun." She packed her things, not knowing this journey was more about learning than fun. The next morning, with her bag packed, Shalewa left with Ronki to the town, leaving Simbi hoping her daughter would find her way back to being the kind and loving Shalewa she once knew. Shalewa and her Ronki arrived in the town, a place buzzing like a beehive, with sounds and sights new to Shalewa. Ronke's house was different from the cozy hut in the village. It was bigger, with more rooms and a gate that creaked when opened. At first, Shalewa was like a mouse, quiet and careful. She helped Ronke in the house, sweeping the floors and going to the market. Ronke was strict, and Shalewa didn't dare say no. She remembered her mother's gentle face and thought, maybe being helpful is good. But soon Shalewa met some girls in the town. These girls walked with their heads high and wore clothes that made everyone look at them. They talked about fun things like dances and parties. Shalewa's eyes sparkled. She thought, this is the fun I was missing. Thus new friends showed Shalewa how to dress like them, in bright clothes that were very different from what she wore in the village. They laughed and shared secrets, and Shalewa felt like she belonged. She started to forget the lessons from her mother and Ronka. She liked the attention she got when she walked down the street, feeling like a peacock with its feathers spread wide. Ronka noticed the change in Shalewa. She saw the new clothes and the late nights. Ronka shook her head and said, Shalewa, remember who you are. Don't lose yourself. But Shalewa's ears were filled with the laughter and music of her new friends. She couldn't hear Ronke's words, thinking only of the next fun thing to do, drifting further away from the lessons of kindness and respect she once knew. Then one day, something surprising happened. When her aunt had friends over, Shalewa had to say hello and help out. But Shalewa wanted to show she could make her own choices, so she didn't greet them like she was supposed to. She asked, why do I have to greet them first? They can say hello to me too. Everyone was very surprised and didn't know what to say. Her aunt's friends were shocked because all kids in town were usually very polite, and her aunt was very upset to see Shalewa acting this way in front of her friends. After the friends left, her aunt told Shalewa she couldn't stay with her anymore because she wasn't listening or learning. You need to go back to your mom, she said. I can't help you if you don't want to learn. Shalewa packed her things, feeling both mad and excited. She was going back to her village, where everyone used to pay her a lot of attention. Shalewa came back to her village after some time with Ronke, but she was not the same Shalewa who left. She walked into the village like a new breeze, but this breeze was different, strong, and surprising. She wore clothes that made all the villagers open their eyes wide, a short wrapper around her waist, and a top that was just as short, showing more skin than the village was used to. People in the village whispered and pointed. Is that Shalewa? They asked each other. She looks so different. Shalewa walked with her chin up, enjoying the looks and whispers. She thought it meant she was special, that she stood out from everyone else. When Simbi, Shalewa's mother, saw her daughter, her heart sank like a stone in water. She rushed to wrap Shalewa in a big, modest wrapper, asking, why are you dressed like this, my child? But Shalewa pushed the wrapper away, saying, this is how we dress in town. It's fashionable. Simbi's eyes filled with worry. She knew the village wouldn't understand, and she feared what this change meant for her daughter. That evening, Simbi sat with Shalewa, trying to bridge the gap that had grown between them. Shalewa, my dear, why have you changed so much? This dressing, it's not our way, Simbi said gently. But Shalewa was defiant. Mother, I like it. It makes me feel good, And everyone looks at me, she replied, missing the concern in her mother's eyes. Simbi lay awake that night, her heart heavy with worry. She thought about the respect and values she had tried to instill in Shalewa, now seemingly washed away like footprints in the sand. Simbi feared what this meant for Shalewa's future, how the village would treat her, and the path she was choosing to walk. The return of Shalewa had brought a storm of emotions to Simbi's heart, and she wondered how they would weather this together. As days turned into weeks, Shalewa's love for attention grew like a wildfire. She enjoyed the stares and whispers from the men in the village, feeling like a queen in her own little kingdom. She cared less and less about what her mother, Simbi, or anyone else said. Shalewa thought, I am special. Everyone loves me. But the love she thought she saw was not real. It was a shadow that disappeared when the sun went down. Simbi warned her, Shalewa, this path is slippery. Be careful. But Shalewa's ears were close to her mother's words. She believed the sweet nothings whispered in her ears under the moonlight, not seeing the danger in those fleeting moments. It didn't take long before Shalewa started sleeping with rich men in the village in exchange for money, since she looks very attractive, showing half of her body with her dresses. Her mother wasn't happy with this, because among the women in the village, they always talked about her and how she was disobedient and how she uses her body to snatch their husbands. Then, one morning, the world seemed to spin around Shalewa. She felt sick and everything changed. Shalewa was pregnant. Fear gripped her heart. Who is the father? She wondered, her mind racing through the faces of men who had admired her. She tried to find answers, but each door closed in her face. The men who had once chased her now turned away, saying, we want nothing to do with this. Simbi was very sad and told Shalewa, I warned you, but you didn't listen. Shalewa felt really bad and ran to her room to cry. She knew she had made some big mistakes and started to regret them. But deep down, she didn't want to believe everything was ruined. Shalewa knew she needed help, so she went to see the men she had been with. She hoped one of them would want to help her and the baby. But when she went to their houses, they all turned her away. The rich men said they already had families and couldn't help her. The young and handsome men didn't want to believe the baby could be theirs. They all said, why would we marry someone who acts like you? What kind of lessons would you teach our child? Is it to become a woman with low value? Or to dress indecently like you do? Feeling really low, Shalewa thought maybe the village drunkard would say the baby was his. But even he said no. He told her, the way you dress and act made us notice you, but that's not what we want in a wife. We were just having fun. Now, Shalewa felt truly alone. Not even the drunkard wanted to help her. She realized that all the warnings from her mom and aunt were right. Shalewa felt alone, more alone than she had ever felt. The village's whispers turned into loud judgments. Her friends from the town were nowhere to be found. Even the light in her mother's eyes seemed dimmed by disappointment and worry. The rejection was a cold shower on Shalewa's fiery spirit. She realized the cost of her choices, the weight of her actions. She had sought attention, but now she craved invisibility. The village, once her stage, had become a prison of eyes and whispers. Shalewa, with nowhere left to turn, went back to her mother's hut. Simbi, despite her disappointment, opened her arms to her daughter. Shalewa cried, I'm sorry, mother. I didn't listen. But the words were a small comfort against the reality of her situation. The consequences of her choices had caught up with her, leaving her to face a future filled with uncertainty. And the hard lesson, that some attention comes with a price far too high. Then Shalewa found herself at a crossroads. With the village whispering behind her back and the weight of her choices heavy on her shoulders, she looked into the mirror of her life and didn't recognize the reflection staring back. Her heart, once light and joyful, now carried the burden of regret. Acknowledging her mistakes was like letting go of a heavy load for Shalewa. She decided to leave the village, not to run away from her problems, but to learn, to grow, and to return as the Shalewa her mother raised her to be. She packed her belongings, her heart filled with a mix of sadness and hope. Shalewa's departure was quiet, with only Simbi waving her off. She didn't know where her journey would take her, but she carried with her the lessons of the past and the hope for a better tomorrow. Shalewa traveled far, to a land where no one knew her story. She started fresh, working, learning, and most importantly, reflecting on the person she wanted to become. Shalewa's story became one of reflection and redemption, a tale whispered in the village as a reminder that being obedient is a great virtue, and dressing indecently just to get attention usually leads to a result that one might not be happy with, because no responsible man would marry someone whom everyone has seen their body or slept with. And so, our tale ends, not with a goodbye, but with a promise of new beginnings, a reminder that it's never too late to change our story. I hope you enjoyed the tale. If so, please like the video, share it with your family and friends, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell for more enchanting tales like this one. Goodbye.